Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Dr. Melissa Grill-Peterson, your host, and we're streaming live from Inspired Health Institute, where this month we are bringing the leading national functional medicine expert, Dr. Steve Rossman, who really specializes in getting to the root cause of brain and body imbalances. And today he's going to tell us how you and I, any of us listening, can regain our focus, our calm, our clarity and confidence to really bring full balance into our brain and body to optimize your energy, your health, and your well-being. So if you want to learn more about how you can feel better, live better, then keep listening. This is going to be an incredible webinar. And as we go through it, as we start this month, again, really kind of focusing on that brain-body connection. And if you are here and if you have been struggling on any level with any type of fatigue, I mean, there's some mornings it's hard for us to get out of bed, right? Some brain fog, forgetfulness, just really kind of struggling to put the pieces together. Or maybe you're moving more into that state of anxiousness and worry and doubt and stress because there's so much on your plate. You're juggling so many things. You might have landed here today wondering, gosh, is this webinar going to be my secret recipe? Is there a way that I can really break free from these symptoms of brain fog, from fatigue, from anxiousness or worry without using medication? Because so many of us, when we start to feel these things, it seems like the only answer out there is an antidepressant, and that doesn't bring any type of solution. So if you're wondering if there's a secret recipe that will actually give you back your focus, your clarity, your confidence, your ability to live your healthy, vibrant life, the answer, I'm excited to tell you, is actually yes. And so when we do these webinars, we love to deliver so much value, so much insight, not just more information, but real actionable steps. So keep watching, because today I'm so excited to introduce Dr. Steve Rossman, who brings more than 20 years in clinical practice with more than 15,000 successful patient cases in the field of functional medicine. Now that, again, if you've been here with us before on any of our webinars, functional medicine is really a form of healthcare that specializes in finding the underlying root cause to the biggest health challenges, if you will, that are facing us today. You see, what happens in the traditional allopathic system is we're given a number, a name, and a pill. So we're given a diagnosis. The diagnosis leads to a pill and to symptoms, and it's treatment. It's management of symptoms versus real corrective care. Now, Dr. Steve is going to help to pull back the curtain today, and he's going to really be speaking and sharing some simple tools. So whether you're struggling with ADHD or anxiety or depression, or maybe you're moving into the land of autoimmune, or maybe you've even had a brain trauma, if you've got an imbalance in the brain-body connection, Dr. Rossman today is going to help to bring you real insight, real answers, real information on this webinar that will help you to not only understand what may be going on beneath the surface in your body and expressing itself as a brain imbalance, but beyond that, he's going to give you real actionable steps today that will get you moving in the right direction to regain balance and optimize your health. Dr. Steve Rossman, I love having you on these presentations with us. So welcome today. We're so glad you're here.
Dr. Melissa, you know why I'm smiling in that photo there? That's because I get to share some time with you. You are an inspiration to me, and all those who are listening, they're listening because they know that time spent with you is time well spent. You have been an inspiration, a mentor, a teacher, a guide, support, not only to me, but to so many out there who are the leaders in the world of functional medicine. So I thank you for being who you are. You are such a blessing. And for those of you who are listening tonight, I'm smiling because I get the chance to speak with you about something that really is my life's work. When you can spend every day doing something you really feel you've been created to do, and you can do something because you've been taught by such wonderful, giving, knowledgeable pioneers in such an exciting approach to healthcare, you'd be smiling too. So, Dr. Melissa, why don't we get going?
That sounds good.
And let's move through this. Okay. Now, for those of you listening, I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to make sure that this is time well spent for you. So let's see if this webinar tonight is about you, for you, or someone you love. Does this sound like you? Does this sound like someone you know, someone you love, someone you care about? Someone who's tired all the time, who can't focus or concentrate, who may be irritable or moody, who may be struggling with brain fog or forgetfulness, who may be a procrastinator, who may be impulsive and impatient, anxious or depressed, startled easily. And you can read these here, but most important at the bottom is given the label of. Today, in our healthcare world, you meet with professionals, clinical professionals, licensed professionals, doctors out there who have to give you a number. That number corresponds to a diagnosis. And that's how insurance companies will reimburse the doctor and take care of your visits. And that's how you'll be eligible for the drug we'll be talking about in a second. That's the sick care system you become trapped in. And once you're given that diagnosis, that label, you know as well as I do from years of experience, that label will stay with you. It's not just something that is put on your lapel and it's there for a day or two or three or a month or so. It can be right there and it can stay with you for months and years and years. Perhaps this is you as well as we move to our next slide. 10%, 1 in 10 people in this country are on antidepressants, and many, many, many more are on psychotropic medications of one kind or another. Pharmaceuticals that are meant for mood and mood management. 1 in 3 people are overweight or obese. 1 in 3 people die of heart disease. 1 in 4 people die of cancer. More than 28 million people in this country are diabetic. More than 4% of all American adults deal with the challenges of ADD and ADHD. Many more than that do so without a diagnosis. So we're going to get to in a second this terrific slide, this web here, and it's only terrific because it's a great graphic. But for those of you out there who are suffering, this is not so terrific. You're caught in a web, and you're caught in a web just like a fly in a spider's web. You've become prey. You've become victimized. You're caught in the web of a system that set us all up to fail because it's a model of sick care. How do you become well when the system is set up to reward you, to reimburse you, to make it easy for you only when you're sick, only when you're labeled? It's the system of a pill for an ill. We're going to move right now into a video I want you to pay close attention to. And when it's over, I'll pick up the narration.
The American healthcare system is badly broken.
The present system doesn't work, and it's going to take us down. We need a whole new kind of medicine.
We're in the grip of a very big industry, and it doesn't want to stop making money.
If I spend 5 minutes with you and then put in one of these stents, probably get paid $1,500. For me to spend 45 minutes with the patient to try to figure out what their true problem is, probably get paid $15. It's a completely irrational system.
We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a disease management system.
We're spending almost twice as much in America as any other country on earth, but our lifespan isn't even in the top 20.
30,000 Medicare recipients die each year from care they didn't need. That's the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashing every single week. If the aviation industry killed as many people, we'd be up in arms.
The administration pays you based on how many patients you see. All right, who's next? If you try and buck the system, someone says, what can we do to get your productivity up? I'm not interested in getting my productivity up. I'm interested in helping patients.
We're seeing the military just being a microcosm of the problems society's having.
Soldiers' use of prescription drugs has tripled in the past 5 years.
Medications I was on.
Only by accepting that the American healthcare system is badly broken will we be able to seek out the escape fires, the potential solutions. There are answers.
One company has figured out how to lower healthcare costs by more than 40%.
We provide incentives for people to engage in healthier behaviors.
The Army Surgeon General directed that we establish the Pain Management Task Force to take a look at alternatives to narcotics.
I was skeptical, so skeptical.
I've gotten a lot of inspiration, a different perspective. There's a different way of doing things that is possible.
If I think about what healthcare could be like, it would have a lot more care in it.
The healthcare system is unsustainable. We're really mortgaging the future. It's not just the health of healthcare, it's about the health of the nation.
You know, Dr. Steve, I just have to interject for a minute because this is such a powerful trailer for the movie Escape Fire. And, you know, what you're helping us to already get a real sense of at this point in the webinar for anybody that might be joining in now or coming into it is we're really looking at what's going on in our brain and our bodies, what's happening when the symptoms start. And, you know, you were just sharing with us on the last slide how the symptoms start and the symptoms sooner or later lead to a label. The label leads to a diagnosis, and that label and diagnosis lead to a medication. And what this trailer just did so powerfully is it is showing how we are in this web. We're in this web of the system. And, you know, we really are looking forward for you helping us to understand, is there really a way out of this? I mean, I think that's kind of where we're at now. You know, at the beginning, we talked that you're going to share with us some actionable steps of how we can actually kind of break free. So I'm excited to learn how you're helping your patients every day that are seeking you out from around the country in your virtual practice, how you're helping them break free, and how you can help everybody listening today break free. So thanks for really sharing that, because it's a powerful reminder of really where we're at, and that if we want a different outcome, if we stay there, we're just going to keep getting more of the same. So tell us, you know, kind of where we go next with this.
Okay, so you saw in the trailer, and I urge everyone to watch the film, but you saw in the trailer that we're caught in a system that doesn't want to change because it's making certain people in certain industries millions upon billions of dollars. Why would a system like that want to change? But can you really afford? Those of you listening, ask yourself this question. Can you really afford to stay sick and tired? Think of the cost, not the cost to you in terms of what you can no longer do in your life, or days you have to take off from work, or times you can't really be present with your children, or go to their events, or be in other places where you want to celebrate life. That's a cost in and of itself. That's a cost to the soul. But there's another cost too, in more practical terms. The cost of diabetes for one person a year averages $13,500. The cost of depression to this country is $210 billion. The cost of ADHD and thyroid medications and the care for them, the conventional sick care for them, runs approximately $1,800 a year per person. And that kind of care, I must tell you all, that kind of care is not Vyvanse, Ritalin, Xanax, Synthroid, are not vitamins, they're not minerals, they're not nutrients, they're not meant to nourish, replenish, restore, help you reclaim your life. Those medications are meant to manage so that things don't get worse, so that certain kinds of processes in your body, and you listening know who you are and why you're on this call. So think about that for a second. The medications that you're given for whatever it is, those medications are meant to manage. So you don't get off those medications. Or if you do, it's only to get on to another. Your body isn't being nourished or nurtured. So add that $1,800 up. And over 10 years, it's $18,000. And many of you listening, who love someone who is who's struggling, or you yourself may be struggling. It may have been for more than 10 years, so that $18,000 figure may actually be on the low side. So I want to ask you, where and when does it end?
Mm.
For most of you, when I get a call, here's what happens. When Dr. Melissa refers someone to me, or I get a call from a doc in Seattle, or Kansas City, or Oklahoma, or Massachusetts, or wherever I get a call from who's going to refer someone to me, or a patient who's found me to someone else who knows me and has been treated by me, I've got to tell you that in most cases, that person has been struggling for months, probably years, and has spent tens of thousands of dollars and has gone from doctor to doctor to doctor in those 5-minute visits that the doctor in the trailer was talking about. So 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes someplace else, and has come to me and is basically out of hope and truly believing there is no help. And you out there, everyone who seeks my help, whom I speak with, you're too precious. Your lives are too precious. You are too precious to be without hope and without help. The only way to get out of the web is to take a different approach. Because our system, you heard it many times over in just that 2-minute trailer, our system is broken. We don't have a healthcare system, said Dr. Andrew Weil. We have a disease management system. So how do you get out of the web? We can't fix the problem the same way it's been created or managed. We need a brand new system, a brand new approach. Well, there has been an approach for decades now. You may or may not be aware of it, but it's been right there, available to you, close as a phone call or an email these days. There's hope, there's help, and it begins with you. And it begins with the care that I have for you versus managing a number that's given based off a set of symptoms, that label we talked about. Go ahead, Doc. Mm-hmm. We'll go through this slide quickly because you know who I am, and Doc told you about who I am. But more importantly, than just who I am and the years that I've spent treating the thousands of patients. But the question might be asked, why? Why do I do this? And you'll hear in the minutes to come about one of my patients we'll call Jane. She's my why. Those of you listening right now, you're my why. You're why I spent 20 years in graduate school. You're why I go to 20 or 30 seminars and trainings a year. You're why I get up in the morning and I'm so excited to do what I do, because I really believe I've been given a gift to do what I do. And the time spent with you is time I feel that I'm serving. So let's talk about Jane. Jane, 23 years old today. I saw her starting a while ago, but Jane was required to take drugs since she was about 16 years old, and that was for anxiety in her case. For you, it could be depression, it could be OCD, it could be sleep, it could be headaches, it could be lack of focus, concentration, ADD, ADHD, and you know where the list goes. And I can go on and on. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, whatever it may be. In Jane's case, it was anxiety. She recalled doctors saying to her, "We're going to discharge you," right to her face, her crying, teary face. "We're going to discharge you," when she asked about getting off medications. Jane remembers that the medications made her feel like a zombie, always in a fog, and unable to feel. She was numb from the medications. She couldn't focus, concentrate. She couldn't celebrate. She couldn't feel the joy that others had in joyful situations. She describes in her own words, it was like her brain was out of control. I felt disconnected and crazy, all at the same time. No matter how hard I tried to calm myself down, I couldn't. And I felt even more anxious and out of control. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. It's horrible. You feel like you're trapped in your own nightmare. and everyone else isn't. And I'm here to tell you, and I mean this with all my heart and soul, nobody ought to feel so different. And nobody, hope is a birthright for all of you, for me. No one should ever feel different and hopeless. So I take a different approach. Mine is a true healthcare, wellness model. Patient-centered, time spent with you. I listen to your story. Right now, you're in the world of water. You're in the world of labels, of numbers that are medical codes. You're in the world of diagnoses. And there they all are, and you're familiar with them. Just as examples, I could list hundreds above the waterline. But for every one above the waterline, there is a combination, in some cases, many underlying causes, some of which are listed below. If there's a leaf on a tree, and that leaf is rotten, you cut that leaf off. Do you really believe, or you painted the leaf green just to mask it and pretend that it wasn't rotten? You think that's where it starts and ends? And I know you don't. It goes much deeper than that. It goes into the trunk and down below ground where you have to do the digging, where you have to do the dirty work in medicine. You've got to spend time. You've got to care. You've got to be a detective. You've got to dig deep. And functional medicine is about looking for the underlying causes. And you know what? When you find those underlying causes through lab tests, so you get medical evidence, but when you find those underlying causes and you correct function in the body, all of a sudden, as the body gets functionally well, those diagnoses, those labels above the surface fade away. Imagine the letters. Imagine the reason you're calling. It's right there written out on the screen above the water. And imagine right now, because we found the underlying causes through testing, and we've addressed and targeted those underlying causes, those letters that form your label are fading away, never to be seen again. Go ahead, Doc. So how did I help Jane? Within 2 weeks, Jane reported feeling calmer. Within 4 weeks, she reported sleeping better. Now, we weren't out of the woods, but you can see improvement. Her body was beginning to function as it was meant to function. By the end of about her second month, Jane, under her physician's supervision, had cut her medications in half. And when I say under her physician's supervision, that implies that her physician and I work together. I've spent years in medical centers and in large practices where I directed my own department of complementary medicine and was surrounded by docs in every department, every specialty you can imagine. And what we would do when they referred patients to me is we would co-manage. So if it's in your best interest, I'll create a care plan for you. If it's in your best interest for me to co-manage, if that's something you want and that's in your best interest, you know something? We can do that too. So you get the best of both worlds. By the end of 4 months, we had her body functioning, and there's that word again, well enough, so that she was permitted to have a trial without the medications. And she's never had to take them since. That's almost 2 years ago. Underneath Jane's waterline, Jane's surface of signs and symptoms, here's what I found. It may not be the same for you because functional medicine is targeted, personalized. And that means when we test, we might find a different why for you than we did for Jane. But in Jane's case, listen to this, anxiety. And for those of you who may be dealing with this, tell me how many times any of this was discussed with you. We found that she had high levels of stress hormone, which in many cases can be adrenaline, but over a longer period of time is called cortisol. And she had a cortisol imbalance. She had a sensitivity to excitotoxins. What are they? They come in many forms. But let's just take one example, and this is only one. An artificial color or an artificial sweetener affects the brain by creating an avalanche, a cascade of something called glutamate. And that glutamate actually overexcites, there you get the word excitotoxin, it overexcites the nerve cells in your brain called neurons. And when they're overexcited to such a degree, they will actually become overstimulated and die. That's right. Your neurons will actually die. Your brain cells will actually die. And that's why excitotoxins are also called neurotoxins. In her case, we also found a blood sugar instability. And you yourself know when you can feel when your blood sugar is too high or too low. You know what that does to your mood or behavior management. In her cases, we found magnesium and zinc deficiencies, and I can spend 4 hours telling you about what magnesium and zinc do in the body, in the brain, in the body, in cells throughout the body, so that just about all of you on this webinar with me right now could very well, if we tested, find that you had a magnesium and zinc deficiency. And for the hundreds of reactions they're responsible for catalyzing in your body, you might find some that are relevant for you. We found an undiagnosed thyroid hormone imbalance. 90% of those who come to see me have thyroid imbalances, but don't, well, let's say it this way. 90% of those who come to see me have thyroid tests that are incomplete. We wouldn't know if you had a thyroid imbalance or not. If you're taking medications, we wouldn't know how to adjust those medications because a complete thyroid panel wasn't there. No one ordered it. It wasn't tested. So many people have thyroid imbalances, even if they're being managed on meds, especially if they're not. And they're being told that their thyroids are normal. They know they're not. And if we do more testing, often I find out that, in fact, they're not. And there was other, in Jane's case, other dysfunctional physiology, completely uncovered. We uncovered them with specialized functional lab tests that are done by the most elite licensed labs in the country. Most doctors don't know about these and don't test them. They've never been taught. They've never studied them. So I didn't just treat her symptoms. Here you see different systems in the body. To us in functional medicine, they're all related. Again, it's that jigsaw puzzle. If I take one piece of a puzzle and put it right there in the center, can I tell you what the big picture is? I can't until I start getting all these other pieces and start finding out where they fit, spending time doing that. And once it's all put together, we get a big picture. But when you're dealing with specialists, they're only looking at one piece of the puzzle. It's really hard to see the big picture when you're looking at one piece. So with functional medicine, we get to the underlying root cause so that you can regain your health. This is a 21st century approach. It's today, it's now, it's cutting edge. So I want to offer you a model of testing, not guessing, and that is what I do. I test. There's evidence. When we go over your report of findings, you will see a reason for everything I'm recommending. It's time to look beneath the surface. And that's where we put together the pieces of your health puzzle to get a clear picture. So I want to use the best in healthcare to help you. I want to help you get real answers. And we can actually detect and then correct. Very important. Detect because we're testing, not guessing, and then correct because we're nourishing. We're improving function. You are more than a label. You are more than a diagnosis, more than a code number.
You know, and I want to really point out right here, Doc, for everybody listening, you know, this is the fundamental difference. And this is what is so different about why your patients, why your clients get amazing results. You know, they say it's a miracle. I can't believe nobody's ever been able to help me. You know, they come to you after they've been to doctor, diagnosis to diagnosis, medication to medication. They've tried so many different things and nothing has worked. And I love, you know, I personally call you, you know, that medical detective doctor. You're looking because you really do understand that everything is interconnected. They may come in with a label or maybe multiple labels, and you are taking the time to really understand beneath the surface. And I can't stress that enough, guys. So as you're listening, you know, the pills don't get to what's going on beneath the surface, and the body never is able to heal and correct and restore balance and function if we're always above the water. And so this is a really phenomenal process that Dr. Steve takes his patients through in a way that when you go in just to the standard model, you're not going to be able to experience. So kind of depending on what's happening in your body and how long it's been there, the moment your body starts talking with symptoms is the moment that you have an invitation to start listening and to really reclaim your health. You know, I mean, for Jane, it took years, and we're all listening to this today. And this is really exciting because I know in a few minutes, you're going to help us to understand how we can start looking beneath the surface ourselves, kind of as we're on our way to you, some things that are available to us right now in our daily environment. So I just wanted to point that out because you're helping and educating us so much, and I want to thank you. But I feel like this is like gold right here. This is the big thing, that if people can understand that this is the real game changer. And I think in your practice, you kind of put the pieces together. So tell us how you do this, how you approach this as you start to go beneath that surface.
Okay, so once again, Doc, we test, we don't guess. So I use licensed and credentialed labs, credentialed at the very highest level you can be credentialed at as a medical lab, to provide testing options that provide evidence, real evidence of dysfunction. There's that word. Cells and tissues and organs and glands that simply aren't functioning as they should. You and I work together in phases. I don't know how many phases until we start getting tests back and until we start working together. But we are together, and we're together through the whole process. Over the course of 6 months, perhaps more, and you heard with Jane, it took more. You can expect a mix of clinical assessment, testing, and analysis so that you can understand where you are and in what ways your brain and body are out of balance. Then you'll be supported by my team. And with my team, and with regular visits, we go step by step so that you can heal and you can get well. And finally, through targeted care, revealed based upon my experience, my years of treating, my clinical experience, and all the testing that we do, I will also read your tests, your exams, your histories, your reports. Again, those are all pieces of the puzzle. And no doc is going to spend time, at least I found that most of my colleagues don't spend time reading all of the history, reading all of those past tests, exams, reports, reading your story. But we will, me and my team, so that we can put together that big picture for you. And then you'll be coached. You'll be part of the process. You'll be educated. You'll be empowered. You'll be nurtured. You'll be nourished to take the steps so there's no more guessing, no more labels, and you'll be on your way to reclaiming your health, living the life you were created to live. So we nourish, we remove, we replace, and we restore. My program educates. You will learn so that eventually, just like the training wheels, I'll teach you how to ride a bike in a sense. I'll teach you how to ride that bike. At the beginning, they're going to have to be training wheels. You're going to have to, your body is going to need some things to help it learn how to ride again. And then once we've gotten to the point where you're riding again and you're comfortable and you're in balance, we can remove those training wheels. So I will educate you so eventually you get to the point where it's not 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of management. It's care, education, independence, empowerment. So you're empowered. You're not dependent upon a prescription with only another prescription as the alternative. I'm your partner with the whole process so you can get real results. I promised you we would dip our toe into the water. So I want to tell you a couple of things that you can do as of now to help you get going, to feel that you're doing something positive for yourself, for your health, for your life, for those you love. First, we talked about artificial sweeteners and colors being excitotoxins, neurotoxins. I want you, as of today, to start looking at labels. If it says NutraSweet, aspartame, Splenda, sucralose, if it says high fructose corn syrup, and let me stop right there for a second. High fructose corn syrup not only leads to diabetes faster than downing an entire bag of sugar, plain table sugar, but high fructose corn syrup, which can also be disguised as corn syrup solids or corn solids, or dozens of other names. If you start to Google, you'll see all the names that companies are allowed to use instead of high fructose corn syrup, because people have begun to get savvy. They've begun to get educated. And they've discovered that high fructose corn syrup, in its processing, uses mercury. So when high fructose corn syrup is produced, every batch has mercury in it. If I open a thermometer now and ask you to take your finger and take one of those little mercury balls that float around after you break a thermometer and swallow it, you wouldn't do it. But every time you take some high fructose corn syrup, however it's disguised, that's something that you're doing. And sugar in all its forms, and you can look on my website. I have a number of blogs that tell you how sugar is disguised. I have a number of blogs and videos to tell you how you can kick the habit, and there'll be more coming. Sugar can lead to rising and falling of your glucose levels in your body, your blood sugar levels. And when blood sugar becomes destabilized, you go on a roller coaster. It's tough to manage your mood. It's tough to manage your behavior. It's tough to manage your impulses, your cravings. It's tough to get out of brain fog. It's tough to get out of anxiety, depression. Sugar promotes inflammation, literally. And this is literally, we can see this on SPECT scans. Your brain is on fire. And I don't think that's anything any of us want.
And I want to point something out. This is like such a powerful slide right here. So, you literally, I was just like, oh, on the last slide, like, Dr. Steve, like, this is so exciting. Really, you just said things that were so powerful about people really realizing that, I loved how you talked about how you take your clients through this stage of really empowering them, so that they get to be, now these are my words, not yours. You said it so eloquently. But I loved the empowerment. And so now you're really delivering. So this is one of the first things that any of us can do. And Dr. Steve, when you just sat here, so, okay, I'm looking at this. NutraSweet, aspartame, Splenda, sucralose. So these are things like diet sodas and, sugar-free waters and drinks all day long. If it's saying sugar-free, if it's saying 0 calories, then this is why. And that's a neurotoxin. So that's one of the biggest places those things hide. Aspartame is in chewing gum. So these are like little things that if we can just start realizing, and I don't think that, you just talked to us about mercury. So we know that mercury, and you were saying that is being found in high levels in high fructose corn syrup because of how they're processing it. So let's think about this for a minute. You just laid so much knowledge on us for so many brain-body imbalances. Mercury's been linked with autism, right? Mercury has been linked with a lot of neurological disorders and learning impairment. So it's right there. If we're getting in our food every day, it's going to intensify and make that worse. You're talking to us about the blood sugar dysregulation of how this, not only how this can lead to diabetes, which I'm remembering, Steve, you showed us on that slide way back ago, the cost of diabetes is crippling, right? And so when we start with something like this, I think sugar, we all grew up, it tastes good, it was a treat. And so it's a real tough thing to think about, avoiding, but I like how you're saying start to read the labels and become aware so that we can begin to become empowered to get our health back, to not just be a victim, but to be at choice. Like, oh, I get to choose if I want my brain to be on fire. I get to choose if I want to be anxious. And one of the places and we can choose is to begin to reduce and remove. And I know your website has so many phenomenal tools about how we can start to replace for still really satisfying and delicious and healthy choices that aren't harmful to our health. So I personally want to say thank you for this slide, because I think this was worth the price of admission today, having a really powerful step like this. So thanks, Doc. I'll be quiet now, and I'll let you get through the rest of your slides.
No, Doc, it's always real wisdom. So keep laying that wisdom on me.
I love it.
Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this tip, enjoy. Now, it says enjoy, and then it says daily exercise. Most of you perhaps don't link the word enjoy and daily exercise. But let's talk about movement. Let's just talk about play. Excuse me. Movement and play in hundreds and hundreds of published studies have been shown to reduce anxiety, increase focus and concentration, increase impulse control, diminish the signs of ADD and ADHD, work to improve memory, increase deep sleep. And that's just on the small level. You know, if your body is taught, sedentary, have you heard this yet? I thought this was so clever when I heard it, but it's also so insidious. It's dangerous. So it's clever on the one hand, but when you really think about it, it's, oh my God, it's one of those. Sedentary is the new smoking. And everything you think about smoking has now come to be associated with being sedentary, with not moving. And that doesn't mean if you get up and exercise a half hour at the gym, you've done it for the day. Research is showing that if you are sedentary for more than 5 hours a day, you are at risk for most of the diseases, most of the health risks of the 21st century. So it goes far beyond what we're alluding to in this short time together today. So get out and move, walk, ride a bike, bowl, swim, play softball, get out there and dance. Whatever it is that moves you besides the gym, get out and move. Make sure you are not a couch potato, because it's much more dangerous than turning into a potato, I promise you. Get started with a few new brain healthy recipes. Where do you find those? These days, everywhere. But you can also find them on my Facebook page. You can find them in some blogs that I've done. I will be posting on my site more recipes and some recipe books. But they're out there. But look to make sure, as Dr. Melissa so wisely advised, look to make sure that we're not dealing with artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, or preservatives. Look to make sure that sugar isn't being snuck in by different names. Look to make sure that those recipes that purport to be healthy don't have high fructose corn syrup. You're beginning now to become educated. Now it's up to you to read labels. So get really, really healthy recipes. And studies show that if you buy your own food, if you plan and shop, if you involve somebody else, at least one other person in the cooking process, and it could be more than one, if you sit down and actually cook together, you're more likely to change your habits. You're more likely to change your diet. You're more likely to change your eating styles. So I encourage you not only to find recipes, but to cook and to find someone to cook with.
Yeah, it makes it fun. I love it. Great, great tips. Thank you so much for those.
So now as we get towards the end, I'd invite you just for a second to listen to my voice, to close your eyes, and just to let yourself imagine, just for a moment, what a gift it would be to nourish your body and to express all that you're here to be, all that you've been created to be, all that you long in your heart to be. If I could wave a wand and say, you are healthy, what would you do in the next moment? What would you do tomorrow that you haven't done in the longest time? What would you embrace about yourself? What part of your life would you reclaim? how would you feel? What would it feel like to finally get answers? What would it be like to know that someone there is hearing you, is listening to your story, isn't just sending in the PA or the nurse practitioner and following up with just a 5-minute visit, but someone really spending time listening to your story, reading over all the past exams and reports. In other words, taking a look at every piece of the puzzle to see where it fits. What would it feel like to have natural options in your hands? Now, I've already given you a head start, but I have something much more I want to offer you. Because you viewed this webinar, I invite you to go to your brain health doctor and complete, on the homepage, there's a box where you can request a free introductory conversation with me. So let's begin our conversation. I really do want to hear your story. And let's see if the healthcare, and I underline the word health, and I underline the word care, if that approach is right for you. Then, if after that free consultation, we are in agreement that you are truly invested in your health, that you truly want with every fiber in your being to get well, and that I will accept you into our program, we'll share more information at that time. There's no obligation. I've decided that for those who are watching this, you've already shown me enough by being on this webinar. So I want to make a gesture. I want to invest in you. So that consultation is normally a $295 consultation. I want to pay it forward. I want to pay for that time for you so we can begin the conversation. So this is a gift that's valued at our office at $295. And you get it by going to yourbrainhealthdoctor.com, yourbrainhealthdoctor.com, go to that homepage, fill in that box, and you will hear from me or a member of my staff within 24 to 48 hours, and we'll have that talk. So I want you to know that there truly is hope, that there truly is help, and they're on the way. Dr. Melissa, I want to thank you so much for letting me share what is my true passion, aside from my wife and children, and aside from you as my friend, what is my true passion in life, and that's serving those who come to me in need this way. Thank you for inviting me, and for those who are listening, thank you for staying on through this whole webinar. I really appreciate you, and I hope to be speaking to each and every one of you in the coming days.
And Dr. Steve, I want to thank you so much for being here today. And I think the points that I want to wrap up with, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in and just always being a part of this conversation that we offer here. But a few big takeaways. You know, Dr. Steve, you've been doing this for over 20 years. I have had the honor to work side by side with, to interview so many amazing functional medicine doctors, clinicians, specialists across the country. And I am going to say with absolute 100% integrity and honesty that you are hands down one of the most talented clinicians I've ever had the opportunity to meet. I've watched you, I've worked with you on how you really approach a patient's care. And I need you guys listening today to know that these aren't just words on a screen. This isn't somebody here just saying, hey, come see me, I can help you. You know, if you really are sick and tired of being sick and tired, maybe you've got multiple diagnoses at this point. Maybe there's multiple symptoms and you're really confused and you're really stuck. But if you are at a crossroads, what I know to be true, and in working with you in the past, Dr. Steve, that really the people that get the best results are the people that really are at a point of decision. So, and I'm going to tell you, friends, personally, after so many years of working in healthcare, working with adults, working with children, that this stuff doesn't just get better on its own. A pill doesn't fix anything. A pill is meant to manage. It's a beautiful business model that's keeping pharmaceutical companies really wealthy, but it's not getting you, it's not getting our children well. And so if you're listening today, no matter what age you or your child is at, if you've dealt with these issues, if you've dealt with these symptoms, if you're done struggling, please take Dr. Steve up on this really special invitation. He doesn't offer this all the time. He does this for us when he's here with Inspired Health, and we're so honored. It's a complimentary conversation. You get to actually sit down with him, you know, in his virtual practice at your convenience. He makes it so easy. to really hear what's going on. And then he gives you insight. He gives you specific information to let you know how to get from where you're at so that you truly break free. So Dr. Steve, I can't thank you enough. This has been an incredible hour with you today.
Melissa.
Thank you for all of this. Thank you for the knowledge. You guys, listen, if you've got questions, don't hesitate. Go to yourbrainhealthdoctor.com. It's there. You've got multiple ways you can request that complimentary consultation right away. You can get in touch with them, ask any questions that you need to. This is where we need you to go so that if you're ready to break free, you're committed, you want to stop, struggling, and you want the answers, then this is your invitation. So here's the gift. We hope you go accept it. You've been a gift today, all of you listening, Dr. Steve for being here. So listen, gang, until next time, continue to go out there and just truly take this information, go take action and apply it so you can actually live your most inspired health for your greatest life. From our heart to yours, thank you, and go stay amazing.